Hello, friends. Darrell, Dobbelmann here with some Easter morning resurrection sunrise thoughts for us today. And even though we're socially distant from our churches, never from each other, right? We love each other. Jesus said, I am with you always to the end of the age. How can he say that? Because he is risen. And let's remember the Moravian, the old Christian group called the Moravians used to greet each other in that way. He is risen. He's risen indeed. Jesus said, I'm with you always. That means like right now. That means he's with us. And may I challenge us to start this day with a statement of our faith. I believe in the resurrection. And can I challenge us today to believe even more deeply? Can I take your hand and Jesus will take ours and bring us to a deeper belief in the resurrection? The resurrection sort of settled everything, didn't it? The people can say anything they want about Jesus, but the empty tomb pretty much settles everything. I remember this German atheist, very literally, I was reading this, it was many years ago, and it was some German atheist I just remember, and he was saying, after studying the beginning of the church, he said, I believe Jesus rose from the dead. And I thought, this I've got to hear. Here's an atheist saying Jesus rose from the dead. He said, there is no other explanation how these men and women traveled all over the then known world, gave their life for that. People might give their life for starting a new religion, but they don't give their life for a lie. And they were given the chance when their enemies were ready to set the fire underneath them, recant of this faith in the resurrection. And they said, we can't. So we stand here today as believers. I believe in the resurrection. There was three groups of leaders in the Bible that Jesus warned us about, actually, leaders that he warned us about. One was the Pharisees. He said, beware the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Leaven was yeast. Yeast, you look at the qualities of yeast, you could make a sermon out of this. It grows, it multiplies. And when hypocrisy gets established, especially by leaders, it just multiplies. Jesus said, beware of that. He said, beware of the leaven of the Herodians. And what was their issue? Their issue was immorality. You look at the Herods and my stars. We won't even go there this morning. But beware of the leaven of immorality, because maybe like many of us understand how that grows very, very quickly. And then he said the third one, and that's what I really want to use today, beware the leaven of the Sadducees. He said, they don't believe in the resurrection. Do you believe in the resurrection? Leaven of unbelief is crazy. I remember years and years ago, I was in my 20s, my late 20s, I had a dream. And I had a dream that, it was a crazy dream. I was dreaming I was wrestling two demons. And the one demon was one I was going down the basement stairs into our old, we have a basement and a landing, and I caught this guy. I chased both of these demons. I caught the one and I wrestled him, and it actually rolled down the stairs into the basement. Crazy dream. And I remember I defeated him, and then I saw the other demon run into the back of, like, through a room, and I saw he had a sign on his back that said unbelief. And I realized, and then I rolled the one over that I had defeated, said sin. And I realized sin is not the only thing that we have to defeat. Unbelief can be a terrible enemy. And so I'm asking us today, do we believe in the resurrection? Maybe we should look in the mirror and say it in the midst of our situation. I believe in the resurrection. The resurrection sort of settles everything. It's like it makes the words of Jesus undeniably true. And everything he said is true. And when he said he came to seek and save the lost, that's us. He came to seek us and to save us, and he's seeking and saving us to this day, wherever we are on this planet. In this time, I've just talked to people in India and Guatemala. The hunger over there from this whole thing is now flirting with starvation. and the needs are so tremendously deep. But the resurrection speaks hope. Remember what Paul said, see that you, what do you say there? That you don't struggle like those that have no hope. For we believe that Jesus rose from the dead. That settles everything. Do you have that resurrection power inside? There's people all over the world, millions of us. We call it being born again. The fourth leader I was going to tell you about was a good one. He was actually one of the Pharisees, and he came to Jesus at night and said, what do I got to do? What's necessary for this salvation? Jesus said, you must be born again. So when we become born again, there is a resurrection in us, even while we're living in our bodies, a resurrection of new life in us. And there are millions all over the world that say, I've experienced this resurrection. And I want to say to you this resurrection morning, have you experienced it? Oh, my stars, this might be the greatest opportunity. This might be the greatest Easter opportunity you've ever had in your life. To just respond to Jesus and say, you are Lord. I believe you are risen. And ask him to forgive you, and he will. And there is a whole wonderful new life for all of us. Jesus, thank you for your love, your life, your power. Guide us this precious day that celebrates the greatest thing that the world has ever known. I believe, we believe you are risen from the dead, and we love you with all our heart. Amen.